Hey guys, so in this video, you'll see that we're just going to learn the basics of reading music and kind of correlating this to what we call the grand staff, reading piano sheet music, okay? Now, once you learn both treble and bass, like we're going to go over, you can apply this to really any instrument that you want to learn other than drums, okay? So let's go ahead and get started, okay? So now what you're looking at in front of you right now is a picture of the grand staff, right? Okay. Now, the way that we know this is piano music, okay, is because of this little symbol right here. This giant thing right here, okay? What we call the piano brace, okay? And this lets us know that we're reading piano music. So if you have a piece of music that has a lot of different things, just look for that so that you know it's the piano music, okay? So, first thing we're going to cover is the note values, the different types of note values, okay? We're going to start here with this little guy. Not worried about the notes yet, but just worried about the note values, okay? This is what we call a whole note, okay? And a whole note is the equivalent of 4 beats. And so what we're going to do is we're going to hold whatever note we're playing for 4 beats. We play it ding, and we count 1, 2, 3, 4 at a steady pace, okay? Next, and we're going to see some real examples of this stuff later in the video, okay? So next note value we're going to go over here is called the half note, okay? Called a half note for very good reason, because this half note is going to be half of what a whole note is, right? And that whole note is how many beats? 4, so this is going to be 2 beats long. We play it and we hold it for 2 beats. Now notice there's 2 different types. One's pointing up and one's pointing down, but it doesn't matter as long as that note is open with a flag going down the side. It is considered a half note. Okay, let's move on to the last one that we're going to cover for today. Again, kind of keeping this at the beginning level here. We're going to talk about what we call the quarter note now. Okay, the quarter note is equal to 1 beat of music. Okay, so we play it 1 and then we move to the next one. Ding, ding, whatever the tempo sets forth in the music. Okay, so whole note 4, half note 2, quarter note 1. Let's move on and start learning some notes. Okay, let's kind of break this down. Let's focus on just treble clef. Okay, super important here, and I'm just going to kind of draw this in here. We're going to draw a line right here. Boom, that's probably the best line I've ever drawn on this app. Okay, boom. Let's say we put a line here. Okay, this note that we see here is called C. Very important to remember, kind of easy to remember because it's one ledger line, ledger lining being this little line right here, one ledger line below treble clef, okay? So now from here, if you just think about our alphabet, what's going to come next after C? It's going to go on that space right above that, and you notice for this next letter, which is going to be D, think about your alphabet, A, B, C, D, right? It doesn't have a line. Okay, it's just going to be a note in the empty space right below the staff. And these lines and spaces is how you kind of differentiate between the notes. And that's why they're there, to kind of help you know that, well, C has a line, well, D doesn't. Okay, if we were to continue on this pattern, that bottom line, as you hopefully have guessed it, is again E. As we move up by line to space, line to space, line to space, line to space, we are going to move up every single letter of the alphabet. Again, musical alphabet going from A to G. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at the entire staff now. Now, these 3 notes are very good checkpoints for you. One thing I want to cover real quick before I do move on, this C is very important. This C is what we know as middle C, and we'll see this in our examples later on in the video. Okay, we'll talk about what middle C means when we look at the piano. Now, let's take a look at these notes, and let's take some time and kind of start to memorize these. Okay, now, there's a lot of different ways. I don't like where that kind of sat there. So we're here. Let's go there. Let's go there, and let's go there. That went a little bit too far, guys. Let's get there. Okay, so we're in treble clef. Now, what I like to do when I teach this, okay, is I like to have people memorize it. So what I do is I say, okay, and we're going to go over each of the notes. We're going to say the bottom line is E, and I have you memorize it. Bottom line is E. I have you say it 5 times. Bottom line is E, bottom line is E, bottom line is E, bottom line is E. You test it, and by then you should know it. So I like to do this for all of them. But I do want to give you another way of remembering this because right now we are in a video. So I can't have you memorize it and repeat it back to me, but you can practice it on your own. You can do top line is F, middle line is B, circle line is G, and we'll talk about that. Okay, but the way to help remember this, E, G, B, D, F, is if we can remember every good boy deserves terrible handwriting, fudge. If we can remember this little phrase, it's going to help us remember all the lines. Every E, good boy deserves fudge. Boom, you learned all of the lines. Now, if you can do that memorization technique from earlier, bottom line is E, bottom line is, do it. So much faster. Now, let's get into the spaces. The spaces aren't too bad. Okay, spaces. Spaces for treble clef is easy. Easy, easy, easy. Let's do it. If you're watching my channel, hopefully you've learned how to spell face by now. And if we take this and we just spell that word upwards like this, face, F-A-C-E, we can take that and we can spell up the spaces, and that gives you all the letters. We have F on the bottom, A, C, E. Done. Now, I want to kind of go back to the lines real quick because this is an important thing. Remember I told you earlier when there's lines to space, line to space, we are going in alphabetical order, guys. So I just want to kind of go over this real quick. I want to show you. So bottom line, if you can remember, every good boy deserves fudge is E. We have F on that space. Then we go to G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, every good. A is the next space for face, right? And between that, we're going to have B, because, right, A, B, C. The next line is going to be A, B, C, D, right, E, and then F. And if you wanted to keep going, you can go to that space above, and you can write a G if you'd like to help remember it. Now, one of the things is usually face is a little bit easier to remember. So if you need to, just remember face, and then you can use your alphabet to fill in the lines for yourself later. But again, playing piano is tough when you have a lot to think about with your hands and all these things. You have the other hand, you have the bass clef and everything. Memorize these now as fast as you can. Super, super important. Okay. Hope we can remember all that. If not, just kind of scroll back. We're going to move on now. We're going to take a look at bass clef. Now, bass clef, that whole alphabetical order thing kind of comes out in this because we are going to take a look at the spaces, and I'm going to show you why. So we have this one, we have this one, we have this one, and we have this one. Now, the phrase that we're going to remember for this is we are going to remember all, and I'm gonna use the adult version. All cars eat gas. Okay, if we can remember that, all cars eat gas, right? And you should know if you drive, you know how expensive gas prices are getting. All cars eat gas. Okay, we can use that to help remember the spaces for bass clef. All the spaces, all cars eat grass. Okay. All cars eat gas. I combined them. That's funny. Okay. How on earth are we going to do the lines? Well, let's just start from A. If that bottom space is A, well, that means that next line is going to be B. That second space is C. That means this is going to be D. This line is going to be F. And this line is going to be A. Boom. So what's this bottom line going to be? Hopefully you counted backwards in the alphabet and you came up with Z. But there's no Z in the musical alphabet, so we're going to go to G. All right. So one of the phrases for the lines that I like to use is good burritos don't fall apart. Again, good burritos don't fall apart. All right. Now, there are certain things between these two clefs that become little checkpoints, and I want to go over that. Okay? Again, if I'm moving too fast, rewind, take a look at it again. One of the things that we can use as a checkpoint in treble clef, okay, this is another name for treble clef, is G clef. And it's because it comes from an old-fashioned letter G. Let me write G over here for you guys. Okay, I'm going to write the letter G, not the greatest G. But now, imagine if I connected it all together. Whoom! I just add that little swoop-de-swoop, and then we have our treble clef. So, another name for the treble clef is G clef. And the way to help the checkpoint is if we take that circle right here, that circle, and it circles that line right there, okay, it's going to give us our G note. Does that make sense? Okay. Treble clef, G clef. It shows us exactly where G is. Okay. Now, bass clef. Let's go back to bass clef. Ooh, I kind of zoomed in a little bit farther. Let's go back to bass clef. Okay. Another name for this is called F clef. And you guessed it, it kind of comes from an F, right? If we drew an F on the staff, we can kind of create that right now. That line that goes right between those two dots, the two dots right there, is going to be, you guessed it, F. Okay, and if you did your good burritos don't fall, you're gonna get the F anyway. But you can use the F clef symbol as a guide. Okay, so we have G clef and we have F clef, and this is going to be all of the notes for the grand staff. Not any ledger lines above or any ledger lines below, but let's just stick there for now, because what we're going to do is we're going to apply a C position song, some music in C position to this. And so let's kind of go over what C position means. C position is the first 5 notes of a C major scale. And so on staff paper, what that's going to look like is it's going to look like this. You guys remember at the beginning, I wrote that perfect line, right? And I put that C right on that line, right? And that showed us that this is C. This is middle C, and we'll see this on the piano when we get there. Now, C major 5-finger position means we're going to be using the first 5 notes of the scale, which are going to be C, D, E, F, and G. And the treble clef is typically, not 100% always, typically used to notate the notes of the right hand because it's the higher notes. So this is going to be our fingering. We have C, then we have D, then we have E, and then we have F, and then we have G. And our fingers are going to go as such. 1 on thumb on C, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fingerings are easy. Imagine your hand. 1s are always your thumbs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom. Next, bass clef. All right, guys, let's take a look at C position for our left hand. Again, thumb being always on 1. So let's talk about where our hand position is going to be for this. Now, again, first 5 notes of the C scale. So guess what, guys? It's going to be the same 5 notes for the left hand too. But now, because our hands are mirror images, right? And if we can remember all cows eat grass, this first note is a C. And then we have D, and then we have E, and then we have F, and then we have G. And now our fingers are going to be backwards, and it's going to go 5 on C, 4 on D, 3 on E, 2 on F, and 1 on G. So let's go ahead head on over to the piano so we can see exactly how this will apply. All right, guys, so we're here at the piano, and let's take a look at some music. But first, I want to show you where I'm getting my music from for this, because not everybody's going to have the same book, right? So I want to give everybody something that you can access the same way that I do. You're not going to always have the same book, so I'm going to give you guys a website. So what I'm going to type into now is, and we're going to see this on the screen here, this is going to be a very good app for everybody learning to read. It's called Sightreadingfactory.com. Okay, so what we do is we're going to go to sightreadingfactory.com, okay, and I guess I should spell this correctly, sightreadingfactory.com, okay, and it's going to take us to this website. Now, what we are going to do with this is we're going to sign up for Sight Reading Factory, okay, and if we take a look here, I'm going to show you guys how cheap this is. I mean, books, I mean, even for a piano book, you're looking at least, 10 to 20 bucks for a book. This is $35 for a year subscription to the service, okay? And we're going to show you exactly what it has in store. So once you get this and you download it, not you download it, but you pay for the subscription, what you can do is you can go to the app. And I want to show you guys what the app looks like, okay? The app looks like this little thing that says SRF down here in the bottom left corner. Okay, and let me go to where it's home. Okay, and once you buy it and you figure out your credentials, you get your username and your password, you go to this and you sign up and you can get into the app, you use your credentials, it takes you to the screen. Now what you can do is you can go to Go Practice, where you're practicing piano, but notice all the different instruments that you can practice, right? We're going to go to piano for now. You can practice at the half level, but it's going to be a different position from C position that we're working on. So we're going to go sight reading level 1. This is going to put us into C position. We're going to click on 4/4 because that's the time signature that we are working on. We're going to click on C major because that's what we were practicing. Okay. And let me go back. So as you get more advanced, you notice you can go through many different key signatures. You don't have to focus on just C major, but that's what we're focused on because we're assuming beginning. Now we hit regular practice, okay? Now if you can remember back from the beginning of the video, and if you don't remember, go back and watch it again, all the different note values. We have our quarter note, we have our half note, and we have our whole note, and that's what this level 1 is going to focus on, okay? We have our hands in C position, which we should have seen already. And now from the beginning, our first note is E. So we're going to start with E, okay? And notice these are quarter notes, so each of these are one beat. So quarter note, next note is G, G, F. Now this next E is for 2 beats. I'm going to go 1, 2, and then I continue on. Quarter, then half note, 1, 2, quarter note, half note, 2, half note. And then the next hand comes in, okay? And what happens is this just generates random music for you to practice. So very helpful when, I don't know, you're learning for the first time. You don't have to play the same music over and over. You go to the bottom, you can click in the center, and it brings up all the things around the top, the edges, and you can hit next. It's just going to generate random music. It'll do this forever. It's very, very good in that sense, especially for a beginner. At the beginning, I recommend trying to find ones that have, that go bass clef and then treble clef, so that maybe 4 measures long. And you can do longer examples. I can go up here to settings. I can change the amount of measures that I want to practice. Maybe you're beginning at 8 is too overwhelming. You can go to 4 measures, okay? And you just play and you just practice your reading. This forces you to practice with quarter notes, half notes, and then so on and so forth. Now, if we look at the bottom down here, very bottom left, we have this play button. Okay, and I have it set for a tempo at 50, which is 50 beats per minute, guys. Okay, I have it playing, these 2 little arrows, I have it playing with cursor and with metronome, so we're going to see how that works. If I hit play, what will happen, okay, is it'll click for me 4 times. 2, 3, 4, and that gives me the tempo, and I can start playing along with it. You can hear that click. Random quarter notes, so I'm with every click. If I play notes wrong, you can hopefully kind of hear them that they're wrong, and that's what's really, really good about this. I'm going to keep going. So what's really good about this is it gives you instant feedback on how you're doing with the reading. Okay, so good. Sometimes when you have a book and you're a beginner, you have no idea if you are playing the correct notes. You just have to guess that that's how the song goes. Sometimes they're not songs that you're familiar with. You just have to guesstimate. Am I playing the right note? You have to go note by note. But this gives you instant feedback. If you're playing the wrong note, hopefully you can hear that. Very, very good app for practicing reading, okay? And if you decide to pick up another instrument, whatever that instrument may be, you can practice your reading with any instrument, okay? It's going to give you that feedback no matter what instrument you decide to pick up, okay? Sightreading Factory, guys, very, very helpful. I hope this video was of some good value to you. If it was, if you can do me a favor and just please smash that like button. It really helps my channel reach a wider audience. And people like you that want to learn how to read it, it's really, really helpful for them. Also, please leave a comment down below, and I want to know something that you are interested in learning about. I want to make videos for you guys, so let me know in the comments something that you are interested in learning about, okay? And if you haven't done so already, please make sure you subscribe and hit that little notification bell so you're alerted the next time I release another video like this, okay? Thank you guys for being here, and I will see you guys next time.